Alaska is one of those places that carries an almost mythical reputation. Nature in its most intact state, with very little impact by us humans, unlike much of the world. The place where something like Sasquatch existing wouldn't be a contradiction, but would rather seem to make sense. We are about to take you on a journey with us to Alaska, to one of the most remote places I've ever been. An incredible adventure of epic proportions. This is the story of codename Area A, or as we've referred to it more commonly, the Alaska Cabin. In May of 2021, I received a rather interesting email. It was from a man in Alaska with an extraordinary story. My name is Scott. We have not met before. I have a remote property in Alaska that is over an hour from the nearest town. It's on the ocean and is essentially inaccessible for most. We have things happen at this property that are unexplainable. David Ellis of the Olympic Project has analyzed a lot of the audio we have captured, some of them crazy and some of them very reminiscent of the Sierra sounds. We have had giant rocks thrown, rocks hitting the cabin all the time, and other things that are just too numerous to mention. If you ever find yourself in Alaska, you're more than welcome to come to the property. Anytime you want to talk about what I have experienced and at least 20 other people who have been to the property during the construction of the cabin, I'm happy to discuss. I have received plenty of messages from people telling me about their encounters from across North America or activity they have had happening in certain areas. This email seemed different. I was intrigued, but of course skeptical at first, as I usually am. I gave Scott a call. We talked for a long time, and he seemed extremely credible. He was a serious professional and former member of the military, with little to gain, it seemed, from being involved with the topic of Sasquatch. He seemed curious, while not a believer, but was looking for answers. Aren't we all? He sent me a number of sound files after we spoke. They were all recorded on his property and the surrounding area. That really caught my interest. These sounds were some of the most interesting alleged sounds I've ever heard when it comes to this topic.
Well, the story actually started right here, pretty much. We were out here on our first trip, and we set that mooring out there, and then we spent some time looking for the rear. We knew where the front property markers were, and we wanted to spend time trying to figure out where the rear ones were. So we did that. It was late in the day. Next morning we got up and we grabbed chainsaws and gas and oil and everything we needed to work on the saws, and I'd staged them right where the beach ends, and because behind you was just thick alder. I mean, we knew where the cabin was going to sit. We had a general idea, and we wanted to start blazing the trail to get up there. So we'd probably been running the saws that morning for maybe an hour and a half. You know, we'd run the saw, set the saw down, clear brush. You know, you're trying to, just keep moving. It was me and one other person. It was Lou. Anyway, we had been running the saws for about an hour and a half, and we came back here to the beach to service the chainsaws essentially, and I don't think it was within a minute or two that we started servicing the saws, and And on the other side of the bay, it would be somewhere, probably just to the left of where those seagulls are, we heard a howl, and it was nothing I'd ever heard. I grew up hunting, fishing, and I hunt and fish in Alaska, and it was something I didn't recognize. And my friend Lou said, "What was that?" I said, "I have no idea." That was the first thing I thought. I have no idea. So we kept working, and then within, I don't know, 15 seconds, it travels 100 yards closer, and it howls again. And that's what was disturbing to me and I think I told Lou at that point, I said, they're coming. It just didn't make sense to me. I couldn't process why, as an outdoorsman, when I make man noises, the animals move away. They don't move towards me. So, but we're both armed, so we're not too concerned about it. 30 seconds after that, a minute, we heard a roar, and it sounded like a lion or like a T-Rex. It was just epic, and you can imagine this bay is like a little amphitheater. So we just sort of discounted that, you know what I mean, kept working, and we had just finished up the chainsaw, so we'd probably been working for about 15, 20 minutes on the saws, and Lou was standing behind me, and I happened to be standing right there, and I literally looked out at my mooring buoy. Lou had picked up his saw, just turned around to walk in, and I saw I'm just guessing, probably the last between 15 and 25 feet of flight of a rock it was the size of a football, but I could see its trajectory. It impacted the water, and Lou said, "What the hell was that?" That was the first thing because he was facing away. And I said, "Lou, it was a giant rock." That really kind of disturbed me a little bit, but so we kept working, and we're blazing this trail up here and clearing brush, and Lou walked up to me at one point and said, "Hey, did you hear the whistle?" And I said, "No." And he said, "I've heard it a couple times so far." And at the end of the day, we went up on that point over there just to relax before we got in the skiff and went back out to the big boat. We heard what sounded like that hollow baseball bat up on the hill, and we only heard one. And I just picked up a log and hit a tree, and it just sounded like a thump. After we had that first experience, when we're steaming back into port, I had reached out to somebody that had taken a group of guys out here. I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, I knew that he dropped these guys off to look at the property, to buy it." And I said, "When you picked them up, were they scared?" He goes, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, they were." And I said, "Why?" He said, "They had something walking around their camps every night, and when one of them finally got fed up, and he wanted, they thought it was a bear. He unzipped his tent, and he said it sounded like a bulldozer going off through the alders. Now a bear can do that, you know what I mean? So, and he said, "Why do you ask?" And I told him about what we had experienced, and the first thing he says, "Oh, you mean like Sasquatch?" That was the first trip out, and that's how it started. It's so far off my radar until now. I mean, and now I'm intrigued by it. I'm not a believer. I'm an agnostic. I'm not until I see one of these things. That's just I'm not just gonna accept it. I can't. Well, the first 2 years, it was every trip that we come out, and it was, I mean, we've had 20 different people come out here, and everybody's had experiences.
So I come out here, it was June, early June, and I had pretty high expectations. I was pretty excited, but I was trying to stay calm and focused. Everything's not Bigfoot to me. I'm skeptical. I'm kind of skeptical. I'm thinking, well, I'll go out there and see. So the first night I came out here, there were 4 of us. I decided to stay up late. The other 3 guys went to bed early. And I stayed out here on the deck for an hour. And it was just quiet. 10:30, 11:30, I started getting a little braver, being that I'm not hearing anything. And so I walked down the stairs, kind of got on the beach. Still nothing. 11:45, 12 o'clock. I worked my way down to the beach right behind me there, and I stood there. I had a thermal camera in this hand. I had my Canon SLR around my neck. About 12:30 rolls around, and I'm standing down on the beach, about where the dock is, and I was facing the woods up there, and I was just starting to think, I'm tired. I should probably go to bed. And it wasn't maybe 2 seconds after that, I heard the biggest dude smacked a tree with it had to be this big around, the swinging part. and solid strike. And that first whack, it got my attention. And I was facing it too. I didn't have to move sideways, you know? It was right in front of me. And that's what startled me. It was maybe 30 feet in the woods. And here I am with the thermal, and then it whack again. And it stunned me. It just stunned me. I was not expecting that at all. And I know what I'm hearing. It's not like a tree fell. It was that someone, like the biggest dude I know, smacking a tree. And then again. And the second time it did it, the fear came over me. It's hard to explain. It was, you know, and again, I'm holding a thermal, and you think, okay, I've been into this big, I've been drawn, I've been wanting to see one, this and that. You think I'd be ready, right? And I did not even raise the thermal camera. I didn't raise my camera. The second knot, when after it slammed, the primal fear kicked in, and all I could do, I looked over at the cabin, which was probably 100 feet away. Dark, ominous, you know, the trail next to it. Just look, I just booked it because I just felt almost like in danger, almost, you know, my human instinct. And I came around here running. I ran up the stairs, and I didn't know Scott had come out on the deck, and he was relieving himself off the deck. And I came up, and that's when I saw him. I'm like, did you hear that? Oh my God, did you hear that? Holy crap. And he's like, dude, that's nothing. So we sat there on the railing. I still had the thermal in my hand. We were so jacked up, so excited, we didn't even think about it. We didn't even think about raising the thermal. And my mind was still processing what I heard. I just couldn't believe it.
Well, it was a bunch of us, I think 5 or 6 guys that time. And they went out on there was 3 of us left, and I think 3 of them left on the boat. To find some satellite, you know, connection, whatnot, what they were doing. And there was fire going on in front of the cabin, and I was kind of facing the cabin, so fire was on front of me, and the 2 guys, I wouldn't recall their names at this point. I know one of them, I think Josh, staying basically with the ears to the cabin, and all of a sudden, you know, both of them turned at the same time. And they like look at each other funny ways, and they're like, did you hear that? I'm like, I didn't hear absolutely nothing, you know. So they start saying that they heard some rock came to the cabin, and I couldn't hear it over the fire. And that evening, same evening, everybody went to bed already. It was pretty late, you know. We didn't hear anything, and it was me and that guy that was one of the guys from the morning. But at that point, we were sitting opposite. So I'm sitting now to the cabin, and Scott has a trail going into the woods. And now I'm sitting, you know, and also Scott has motion lights. So if anybody moves in the cabin, you'll be able to tell somebody's moving. Soon it moves, light goes on. So none of this was happening. When I heard the rock landed next to me, small rock. I don't even know where it would be up there, you know. It's only like moss there, and that's about it. And I asked Josh, I think that's the guy's name. I'm like, did you hear it? And he's like, heard what? I'm like, dude, there's a rock right here, you know. It just came from above. And he didn't heard it that time. About within 5 minutes, both of us like heard the rock landing next to us. And that's pretty much strangest thing I heard.
The thing is, the first summer was the most active. My first 3 visits, you know, I heard the tree knocks the first time, and then we left. I came back, and there were 7 of us this time, and that was a big one. That was really active. That's when we heard my first whoop, and that was loud too. And a gentleman and I were walking down the trail having a conversation as loud as we are, and we hear this whoop. Just, we couldn't tell where it came from, and we stopped talking. And we both looked at each other and said, did you hear that? And then Scott was on the deck working. And Scotty goes, hey, did you guys hear that? And I said, yeah, was it you? He goes, nope. And then it was, I think, the day afterwards. And there was a big bear footprint.
This is interesting. This is right next to the
toilet. That could be one of us, I guess, but is it me or does that look like it? Now there's my foot track. Here. Oh man, I hope this works. We obviously didn't bring enough plaster, but we did get the whole foot. It's odd, it's right by the bathroom. Nobody else saw it. And I was up here going to the bathroom and looked down and I couldn't believe it. And then going that way, there's other footprints that are about the same size in the moss. They just you can't see the detail like you can on this one. It's bigger than all of ours. And it has toes. Okay, so when we pulled the cast, we did not see this detail that we noticed after we kind of cleaned it a little bit. But what the first thing that stuck out to us was in the toes. What we saw was this texture. And we immediately, there were 7 of us guys out there, and you can see it really well there. It's right there. Let's see, there, you can kind of see that, those lines going. We all thought the same thing. My God, what is that? That looks like dermal ridges in the toes. And you can see them even slightly in the little toes. You can see the 1, 2, 3 little toes right here. And you can see the dermal ridges right in the bottom of them, but really prominently in the big toe and the other little big toe. Really see that. And we looked at everybody's boot. Nobody had any texture like that. So that we were really excited about. But then we saw this. We noticed, if you can see these, which would be like the palm of his foot, this part of the foot, you can see that texture that looks like kind of like washboards, smooth, running kind of this way and that way, almost like a wrinkly looking texture. And we didn't notice that either until we cleaned it up. And it looks like wrinkles. And so what we were told is only 3 species have this: humans, great apes, and primates. Bears and wolves have pads. They're different than this. This is like our foot. And I guess it makes sense because these look like little wrinkles. Right there, you can kind of see, if I hold the phone up, you can see the toes. Once you see it, these are the 3 small toes. And so what you got here is the mud like squeezing up between the toes. These are the last 3 toes. The big toes right here. Second big toe would be right about there. But you can see, and then it comes around here, the heel, and then back around in here to the little toe.
So the first year I kept a journal, and I made an entry while loading materials on the beach, heard what sounded like a baby crying in the woods, and I just wrote weird. And I called somebody up, and he said, "Did you have women at the cabin?" And I said, "I don't think so." I said, "I only had women out there one trip that first year." And but I knew that it was my wife and 2 of her best friends, and it was her best friend's one of the girls. It was her birthday. So I asked my wife. I was like, "Hey, what's this girl's birthday? What day is it?" She told me the day. It was June 25th, and that's the date on the entry of the journal. My wife and her best friend, now they know about the baby crying, and they want to discount it. So they're in the woods, and they, independent of each other. One was using the outhouse. The other one was when they were berry picking. They heard the baby crying in the woods, and they didn't say anything to each other because they didn't want to freak each other out. One of them couldn't take it anymore, so they spilled their guts to the other one. And my wife's friend comes in. She goes, "Scott, we got to tell you something." And so I walked out, and I said, "What?" She goes, "We heard the baby crying in the woods." And I said, "Well, if you heard it, I recorded it because I put the recorder out there." It's only when women are out here. It's never, we haven't heard it. It's only when women are out here. It's just a strange thing.
This strange baby crying story stood out in particular. In the culture of the Tlingit people of southeast Alaska, there is a story of the Kushtaka, or otter man, which is described as a hairy man-like creature. The Kushtaka was described as emitting a crying sound in order to lure women towards them. Thinking about that further made me wonder about the stories of the Kushtaka actually being a Sasquatch swimming, as there have been reported sightings of these creatures swimming between channels on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, and even in southeast Alaska. Overall, this made me beg the question of what was really going on at Area A. With these countless stories I was hearing, the desire to visit in person and investigate it for myself were quite tempting. Almost exactly a year after initially making contact with Scott, in May of 2022, we headed for Alaska to spend a week at the cabin. Joining me as usual was Eli Watson, but also our companion Ron Reed. Ron is a hardcore backpacker and avid Bigfoot researcher, somebody that has been along with us on previous expeditions to Northern California and Oregon. Ron isn't afraid to get out there and get his hands dirty. That's exactly the kind of person I wanted along on a task as big as this one. We would also be joined by Rob Roy. Given his many previous trips out to the cabin, it would be great to have him along with us for part of the trip. Crew assembled, we landed in Anchorage, Alaska, and were headed to the rugged Kenai Peninsula.
Pretty epic, huh?
Made it, boys. This is home for the next week. Oh. Is that view gonna get old?
Probably not, unless it,
This is the chair. This is the famous rusty chair. I believe it was here with the property. But we have found several things. We found a rock on it one time that we know nobody left. When nobody leaves anything on this thing. One of those fishnet rocks that you'll find laying around here that were used as weights. And then we found that South American percussion instrument we have up on the cabin. One time we arrived and it was sitting on this chair. Last year, the first trip, when we arrived, we showed up. A tree, I want to say it might have been that one. It's pretty new. It may have been this one. I thought it was bigger around, but anyway, it was alive, but it was bent over and sitting here crossing this path from the beach. Normally when we arrive, we come up this way. So that was a little unusual, although, snowfall, it was like snowfall. This tree was bigger around than this. It was about 8 inches diameter. It was just like snow had fallen on it. It was bent totally over. It was still alive. It wasn't broken. We tried to, we pick it up and it would just fall back down, and we're like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. No other trees were fallen, which is the strange thing. The old timers would make and use as weights to weight their nets down to go fishing. But yeah, this is the rock he found on his boat.
That one?
I think it was him and Ian, not this one particular, but these things are just all over. This is a pile of them. They're under here. There's hundreds of them under here. So
wow.
We think somebody was putting them together here, like an old timer set. There's hundreds of them in his spare time.
In there yet. I see them
They're
sticking
everywhere.
out. Yeah.
And you'll see them on the beach too. You'll see them spread out, hanging, just sitting in the beach. But Scott, and I think it was Ian, was out there, and they cleaned up the boat. It's when we anchored it out there before the dock, and they cleaned the entire deck of the boat out. It was spotless, they said. They woke up the next morning, and one of these rocks was sitting right there on the deck of the boat. And they know it wasn't there when they went to bed. Huh. So, I joke around, call them Squatch rocks, but it's the rock Squatches prefer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where you found possible track right here?
No, we did spot something that looked like a track, and we ended up, we thought we'd just cast it, and it turned out to be a boot.
Right.
But we thought it's good practice. But the other track that we have found that's legitimate was up there.
Yeah.
The infamous bathroom is over there. Can't see it.
I think I'm gonna let's venture over to it. See if anything has walked here. You've got the general aware of the trail here. Wow, look at this.
Actually, there were two. One of them's gone.
This environment is
Never
nuts.
found it.
Alright, we made it to the bathroom.
They do not like the bathroom. This is the. So see the girl's hand mirror there?
Oh yeah.
Nothing really. I mean,
So you've had that out here?
this has been out here. This was out here the first time we came out here. It's been here all winter, but there were two. Now there's
Yeah, so
only
the other one is just gone, huh?
So I've looked around. I haven't found it. I've been keeping my eyes out. The first time we ever left a jar of peanut butter on this, we came back 2 weeks, and the jar of peanut butter was laying down there. Jar top was gone, and only about a quarter much peanut butter was in it. There were mouse turds in it, and like little bitey marks. But it was nighttime. We're all looking at it with our headlamps on, and the first thing we all noticed was there was this gigantic leaf that was smashed into the peanut butter.
Huh.
Like you really had to smash it. And we all thought it. We all went, I wonder if they were using it to scoop, because that's what it looked like. I don't know. But it was interesting, and we never found the top. We never found the top to it. The second time, we left 2 jars. I'm not sure, it was somewhere over here. I think it might have been over there, about 30 feet in the woods. Both jars of peanut butter were laying on the ground next to each other, just sitting there. Not opened, just sitting there.
Weird.
No scratch marks, no indications it was a bear. It's just weird.
This environment, I mean, you got all this moss.
You see how hard it is to see a footprint?
Yeah, it's gonna rise up in a
Right
few.
here is where that's where we found the footprint. This was
The
all
one,
dirt. We had just moved the toilet over, so this was all fresh dirt.
Wow.
And we found that one, and it wasn't just one. You could see another one here, but you just couldn't make detail out. But yeah, this seems to be, we have sensors that have gone off repeatedly around here.
Tell me about this one story. What this guy saw something.
Well, this
here?
gentleman came out to help Scott, and came out. He had to use the bathroom. It was like 9 o'clock at night, so it's pretty dark. Scott told him to, grab a gun and a flashlight. Oh, I don't need that, So he grabs his iPhone. He comes up here with his flashlight on his iPhone. He's using the restroom, and he said the whole time he felt like he was being watched. And this is the guy that just stated he's not afraid of anything. He's a big, manly Alaskan guy, right? So he says he felt like he was being watched. So he does his business, and he walks. This is when the trail was this way. He walked about right here. No, it was right up here. He looked to his left, and see that stump right there? About 4 feet above the stump, he saw a pair of red eyes. At that point, he tripped over this stump, and he fell, and he landed, and he looked back, and the eyes were about 10 feet over that way. And he took off. He just ran right straight to the cabin, I guess. So Scott, the next day, walked around there, and it was more in the summer, so there's more bushes on that. But Scotty had to climb up and reach, like this high. He said, was it this high? He said, yeah, they were about that high, the eyes. And I'm thinking, was it an owl? Was it, could have been, what could it be besides a Sasquatch? I don't know, but it scared this guy, So this way up here, I did put a motion sensor up here right there. I gotta put new batteries, and there's one. But this whole area, and I tell you what, when we put the sensors, I moved 2 sensors way over to that part of the forest. We put little pieces of thread about 7 feet high across.
Oh, hello. Go ahead. As I fall through the.
Guys, look at notice around. Look around. You don't see rocks, do you? No rocks. Really hard to find rocks around here.
What do you got there, Eli?
just a break, but again, I don't know. It looks like it's been snapped, you know, but
It does. But this, okay, so this is the upper fire pit.
this is it.
This is it.
Wow. Glacier View fire pit.
It was about, this is about where I heard, I think it may have been a little to the right there, but this is about where I heard my first 2 tree knocks come from, right this area. And I was standing right down there on the beach. So you can see, you know, you can see me, or if I was standing there. So you could see the person standing there.
Sure.
But it came from here. There were 2 loud knocks. This is also where we found a huge tree. You heard Victor talk about this, but this tree.
So the tree upside down?
No, it was like it was about an 8-inch diameter tree, maybe 10 feet long, and it was shoved into that hole. You can still see the hole. It was shoved clear into there. And it made no sense because we're looking, okay, there's no broken down tree. It had to fall this way to wedge itself, but there was no tree. You know, no broken, no half a tree laying down there. It was just like something stuck it in there.
Am I being weird about this rock?
No, I don't. You know what?
Look, it was like this,
I didn't put that there.
right? It looks placed, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Scott and them put it there?
I'll tell you what I put is that mirror that you're almost at right there.
Yeah, that one right there.
Now twice I've come up here and that mirror, and it was last time I was here, that mirror was over there about 15 feet. The first time it happened was 2 summers ago. I think 2 or 3. Oh, 2 or 1. But same thing, I had this mirror was sitting like this, and I came up here, it was gone. And I found it over there about 15 feet away, and it was just, you know, I didn't see any like fingerprints or anything weird on it. So this 2 weeks ago I came out here, again, it's gone. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I found it again over there, but this time I found these little teeth marks on it. See? And I thought, oh,
No way.
maybe it's a marten or, you know, some kind of a little
Animal
weasel or
grabbing
something.
it or something? Yeah.
It's attracted to the shiny thing and dragged it away, but
Our first night on location, we opted to play it cool and just do a fire down by the cabin. A lot of times they've had incidents happen here was when people were just sort of hanging out, so our approach was to keep it simple at first, especially as we were all quite tired from the traveling. The evening was uneventful, and one by one we peeled off to head to sleep. But the overnight audio we deployed outside the cabin told a different story. Both of those vocals and the splashing sound was very likely either a seal or a sea lion, given both were present in the area, although it was still intriguing to hear. The night went on without any further incident. Found this old cabin that's up at the creek or the river. It's a little ways up. There's a lot of snow up there, kind of going down towards it right now, but we're probably going to try and go find that and another cabin. This area had a few people living here about 100 years ago before it was all abandoned, but definitely really cool to see something like that structure, not something you'd expect. Looks like it's in pretty good shape.
It is. I was shocked.
Where's that at? Over there?
Pictures of it, I'm telling you, you'd want to buy it.
in there?
Nobody's been there for probably 20 years.
We found out.
So yeah, we're about to go do some exploring. We're gonna go find that old cabin that we found on the drone. Supposedly there's another cabin across the bay over here. We're gonna go try and find that too. Obviously it's pretty serious out here, so we've got some protection. We've got radio backup in case we need to talk to people, but we're gonna have to get, it's tricky, looks deceptively close, but we're gonna have to actually deploy a boat across to get to the other side of the bay there. So should be definitely an interesting time. You guys ready for this?
I think so.
You think, Rob Roy?
I think I'm ready.
Eli?
What's up?
You ready?
I'm ready.
Alright. I just threw that off the top of the boat. So I'm trying to get him to take you right outside of the mooring buoy, which is where we used to live before we started. The cabin was fully
You guys
done.
would camp over on that
We
side?
live in, no, right here on the buoy.
Oh, on the
This is-
buoy. This
so-
is where the original stuff happened.
And this is also where the original stuff, like would go to the boat, right? And within 5 to 10 minutes, we'd hear that hollow baseball bat right there on top of that hill. It'll be followed by the other one within 5 seconds over there. It was always here first.
Yeah.
Always that hill, without fail.
Whenever we ventured out from the relative safety of the cabin, the risks multiplied. Given just how remote we were, a simple fall or slip could become a life-threatening injury, far from any sort of rescue. Thus, traveling in numbers was wisest. The threat from known wildlife here is probably the greatest of anywhere in North America. The forests around this area are populated with large mammals like wolves, black bears, lynx, mountain goat, and two of the most dangerous animals on the continent, the Alaskan moose and the Alaskan Peninsula brown bear. To run a slug, so
Probably 100 feet high.
yeah, it looks like it fell over.
Yeah, it does. Rocks placed on the roof. That must be just roof storage or something. Smokehouse or something.
Whoa, it's a little slippery.
Boarded up the windows. That's kind of odd. Nobody's been here for so long.
They got another little structure out back here.
Yeah, a little shed or something.
Yep. Well, I don't know. I think that might be like a food storage thing.
It
I don't
could
know.
be. It looks like it's built up for bears.
Yep.
Or there could have been an old staircase up there. Look at the wood they're using for the roof there. They're just like logs.
It's old. But this looks scratched up or not mashed up.
I'm guessing they just kind of haven't been up here in like 10 years or more. And maybe they come every other year or something. I don't know. Scotty's never seen them.
Well, we checked out the cabin. Not a lot going on. Very thick snow all around here, so we were kind of hoping to see if maybe there were footprints or anything around. It doesn't look like anything has been in the area. No bear, mountain goat tracks, nothing. So we're gonna keep going down to the bay, try and find this old trail. Supposedly another old abandoned cabin up that way. Maybe we'll try to find that as well. It looks like a post hole, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a look. It looks like a deer. Well, the deer trap too. Deer. Whoa, yeah, you see that?
Look at he sank in.
Oh God.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Damn. Well, it's the first one was
There was something there. Bob Roy kind of took it out.
It all up. Dude, this is where the seals are.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? What a hiding spot there, huh?
Yep.
So,
Homie.
you know, it's kind of amazing. It looks like this has been pretty well.
Definitely not a view that'll get old, but we're back in the bay right now. It's just amazing knowing how much wildlife is here. You have moose, brown bear, black bear, mountain goat, lynx, wolves, martins, all kinds of stuff, and that's just the terrestrial creatures. And in the ocean you have a lot of these, of course, fish. We got the salmon, we got the halibut. Incredible. You got orcas, whales, seals, sea lions. This place truly is so biodiverse. It's actually unbelievable. And then you have, of course, stories of something Sasquatch-like. To me, if there were a place for something like that to exist, this is pretty ideal. With just the amount of food sources and the different things you have, how remote it is to get out here. That's just, for me, it just seems to make sense. If there were a place, this would absolutely be it. But what do you think, Eli?
I think it's honestly a pretty incredible place. I don't know how to describe it really. It's very rugged, very rough to traverse, I think Rob Roy was saying earlier, I don't think we filmed him, it's kind of a pain to get anywhere. It's like really, like even just to get to this spot, you have to take like an hour-long boat ride. This really is super remote. Like if it's gonna be somewhere, it's gonna be here.
Yeah.
You would think how good you get. You could run on a beach like this.
Back to that food source conversation. You got mussels,
I've never eaten mussels, but
all kinds of stuff. Kelp, seals, obviously a lot of high protein sources. That's the thing that gets me here is the amount of protein sources.
yeah.
From there to there, you have just an insane amount.
You have fish, you have kelp, seaweed, and then you have your deer, your berries. You've got all kinds of food sources.
Martins, small
Martins,
creatures, large creatures,
everything.
everything in between.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that at least some of these spruce needles have some edible quality to them as well, because you can make spruce tea that can
Yep.
work with vitamin C.
Well, and the fish runs that come in here are incredible.
That might be-
Salmon.
I bet.
It's just incredible. We thought about we should.
Hey, you guys shoot a gun?
No.
What?
Okay.
No.
Well,
Somebody shot a gun.
Somebody shot a gun?
Knocks and a growl.
you
Y'all
heard
were
a growl
getting in the-
right
when y'all
behind
were-
you guys.
Yeah, when y'all were getting in the Zodiac.
You heard a growl?
Yeah, there was a knock up there when y'all were getting.
But he heard a growl as well.
I thought y'all shot the gun, and I
one
looked
shot
over to
anything, no.
see how. And
I told him I didn't think he would have.
So as we were out exploring the area behind me there, two of the guys were still here in the cabin. One was sleeping and the other one heard what he thought was a gunshot. He thought one of us had actually shot a gun over there. We didn't shoot any guns. We were crashing through the trees. We were kind of doing our thing. I don't think we got it on audio, but he thought that one of us shot a gun apparently. So I don't know if that was a knock or something like that, but unfortunately we have no way of telling without the audio. Hopefully we can get the next incident or anything like that happens, we might be able to record it. Nice job.
Normally men.
I was trying, but I was missing.
Rolling?
It was. That's the second.
Okay.
we're gonna go up to the upper fire pit, and from what I understand, there's a history of weird stuff going on when people are up there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit further away from this main site.
Yes,
here.
it is. I'm a little nervous about it.
But here's we want to try some interesting stuff. So we've got the singing bowl.
Right.
We're gonna play with that during the night and leave it out there when we're done, and maybe have an audio recorder out there. We're not gonna. We have thermal units, but I don't want to use the IR from the cameras. Use it to a minimum. So if we're on the fire, if we are filming with the handy cams, just run non-night vision, no IR. Just for the moment. I mean, maybe there's a possibility IR, they can sense it or something. I don't know. I'm not saying that's a fact. There's no basis for that, but let's just keep our impact kind of to a minimum, aside from creating noise and some sort of an attractive kind of event or something unusual. That's all I wanted to say. So if anyone else has any thoughts or anything or ideas, I mean, we're all ears.
I'm going to be down.
Keep our ears peeled.
I'm going to be down here at the cabin.
So yeah, we're gonna have.
I'm going to be monitoring down here, and if we hear something, we can at least go, hey, did you hear that or did you not hear that?
Yes, so we will be in radio communication with the main site here. We'll be site B up there.
Sure.
So then, do we at any point during the night want to attempt doing any wood knocks?
That's a question.
If we absolutely only with what he has, okay?
Sure.
With the gaff and that, because I told you about the Latin block doesn't seem
the block. Yeah. So
But
yeah, we'll
he's-
try that as well. Yeah.
So we have the wooden handle gaff, and if you hit the handles together, it sort of makes a different sound. I don't know what's different about it, but whatever's different about it seems to make them more reactive to.
And
what we're doing.
the whole point of that singing bowl is we're just playing with it tonight. We leave it out there during the night and leave an audio recorder. See if something maybe wants to play with it or try.
I mean,
it.
they seem to want to imitate every audio
based on
sound
what
that they
heard.
hear. Any audio-based interaction.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Just
Sounds
we're
good.
throwing stuff against the wall,
Yeah.
against the wall, and see what happens.
Never know.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right there, that rock right there.
I didn't put that there.
I gotta ask Beans.
Did you really?
I didn't.
I thought you put it there. That's why.
Yeah, I did not put that there.
That's not me. You know that.
All right,
Yeah,
hold on.
I know Scott didn't. I didn't.
Film this. Hey, look at that. It's been placed here.
Be 100% certain.
This rock.
I bet you.
Or Charlie,
No, Charlie wouldn't have done that.
because they were with me here, but I don't remember them doing that.
Nope.
So no one remembers placing this rock
Remember
here.
the trees that were strapped?
It's just
Yeah.
And they got ripped
placed.
off?
Yep.
So, Alex,
so odd.
we had a trackway coming up this hill. If you look over that edge.
Weird. That's not easy.
No.
That's
That's a 100-foot drop to
So
the ocean.
Bigfoot Bushcraft sent us this awesome little fire starter kit. So these are basically fire starter plugs. Strike them with a ferro rod, which we've got in here, and burns pretty easy. We tried them out, works great. But you're supposed to, it says bend plug in half back and forth like this, right? Do that. So what you're trying to do is expose a lot of that fibrous kind of stuff and then rip it in half. I can just use this one half for now. There we go.
There it is.
Order now. Toll free.
That did a nice job.
It's going.
That's it.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna be quiet. Yeah, saw it.
They say they call it the saw wet because it sounds like a wet saw blade getting pulled through a tree, which sort of makes sense, but normally they're on this side of the bay, so we should be happy that they're over there, because you can imagine that thing, being 400 yards away or 300, how loud it would be.
It's such a small owl, but they're
It's tiny. It's only
carry
6
so
inches.
well.
I've never seen one. I've only heard them.
Yo,
You see something?
what am I looking at?
You got something?
Hold on.
Record. Hit record. Hey guys.
Yeah?
Get behind Ron. He sees something. Get thermal.
Yep.
You see something?
I don't see anything. I'm scanning.
Get behind Ron.
Scanning.
I'm seeing a lot of sight.
It's just a little bit of white heat on my thing.
Well, I get
No, there's a
behind
tree right in front of it too. You're probably seeing that tree.
I'm gonna shine a light in that direction, see if it does anything. You guys see any eye shine or anything?
No?
I mean, it could be nothing, but I don't know what it is.
But I mean, even if you had 10 seconds of video, right? We could say it's nothing, and then we can come back in 10 minutes and look and see if it's nothing again. You know?
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Is this like
up?
White Hawk
Nothing much.
road on this guy? I'm assuming not.
It should have all different kinds if you can find the menu.
Did you hear that?
I heard that.
You heard that.
Yeah, I heard
Oh,
that.
I got it. Yeah, it's one of those buttons.
The mic heard it too.
Pop up.
What's that?
I'm hoping the mic heard it too, but I'm nervous because I don't
Who's
know.
And then you gotta
wanna
figure
make
out
sure
the
that the
arrows,
battery didn't
which
die.
pop it.
Wait.
I heard it again.
That's Doc. That was gangway.
Film this.
Oh, that's cool.
What's the idea here?
We've been playing with this thing, making some racket with it. Now we're gonna leave it here and see if maybe we get something playing with it overnight. We got a recorder over there, not too far.
Should we put it closer to the recorder, maybe? Yeah, away from the fire.
Oh, put this over. Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
right here. We'll see.
Okay. Ron, you remember where we put this, right? Yeah. I don't think it's been touched. Doesn't look like it to me, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, the recorder wasn't messed with or anything like that.
It's just some pine needles.
I
in
think
there.
we should leave it and then just do that. Make a little noise for 30 seconds and then I'd be really impressed if they came all the way down here to begin with. Like even that should be all the way up there.
Yeah.
You know.
That gunshot that John heard, that was, well, as soon as we started moving to the other side of the bay, and that would have been from up around here. I mean, that whole hill up there, I think once we get up there, we leave that up there, maybe move it, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we got a glacier to go explore.
Let's go.
On this day, we planned to head to a nearby glacier to explore the area.
A little bit more. We're still good.
Just a little bit.
Just keep going.
The wave is giving us a little boost.
Oh shit. I may be able to get out.
Alright, here. Let's try this
One
now.
person at a time. How's that? There you go.
Oh shit! Everybody good?
Yep. So we made it ashore. A little chaotic coming in, but we made it. There's a brown bear seen going up that way like 10 minutes ago. Like right before we came ashore. So here's hoping.
We made it. We're in one
We're
piece.
alive.
Yeah.
So we're now on the shore. We're gonna go hike back to this glacier, look for tracks. We did see a brown bear up on the hill above us, and I think it's an interesting time to talk about grizzly bears versus brown bears. They're essentially the same thing, and he was an Alaskan, can kind of help us with that. They're the same thing, but what's the difference between a grizzly and a brown bear?
Basically, the difference is the grizzly bears are inland bears and the brown bears are coastal bears. So, you know, with the coast, you got a lot more food source. You got the salmon and the fish, and so they have more food. Grizzly bears inland, they have to work a little harder for their food. Not as much, so they're smaller, basically a little smaller.
So they're bigger here.
Just as nasty, though.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, let's go look for tracks and just kind of
Sounds
enjoy. We've got some time to check this area out.
good. Yeah, just keep your eyes peeled.
Halibut. Pretty jagged. Look at that.
Could be a
Golden bear.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
Could have been a brown bear.
Look at all these.
Some birds.
Oh, yeah, that is moose, all right.
That's a big ass moose.
Nice. About 7 inches. 7 inches wide, 7 inches across. Oh, we got moose. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, not that big. It's been washed around.
Sure,
but
sure.
still.
Cutting across. Get to the other side.
Wow.
Stubby feet.
See all that? Look at that, Eli.
Bear depression.
Right here,
Creeping through here.
right here.
Not even been the one Scotty saw.
It's like my whole foot.
Yeah. Look at this. This is like deer or something.
Whoa.
Look at that.
As we made our way towards the glacier, we realized just how far away it actually was. They say everything in Alaska is bigger than anywhere else and seems further away, which was certainly the case here.
Making a phone call via satellite phone. We'll see if anyone picks up. I didn't tell anyone the number, so they'll probably think it's a spam call.
While paralleling the river, we began seeing more bears on the hill above us, given it was springtime and they were just coming out of hibernation. So we decided not to push on further due to the distance to the glacier and the unpredictability factor of this situation.
Good?
Beautiful. Been wanting to come here for a couple years.
And up on the hill, we've been watching 3 black bears.
Literally watching them now.
Literally, they're right there.
Then there was the porcupine from earlier as well. So, you know, it just adds, it complements the variety of different wildlife that we're seeing over by the cabin. Just adding to the Alaskan wildlife roster. Everywhere we go, every corner, nook and cranny, each new cove that we explore, it's adding more animals.
Oh,
that
yeah.
are still in the potential range of a Sasquatch who can probably wrap around and navigate some of this rough terrain.
And cut over the mountains and stuff, because this is tough for us.
Oh, yeah.
But clearly all these animals are getting through
And
fairly
it's so
easily.
isolated.
Yeah.
I
Very
usually
slow.
live out here with
It's a
no one knowing.
Yeah, you'd be out here completely undetected, and I mean, for all practical purposes, there are no humans out here.
Nope.
Maybe some moose hunters every season, once or twice.
Maybe
or
some fishermen.
Yeah, and that's
float
really
out
it.
here. That's it.
One of the initial reasons for branching out to explore this area was its viability for wildlife. This whole region, and much of the Kenai Peninsula, consists of small bays and inlets, nestled around the jagged mountains, with forests lining the shores. Any of these areas can easily support dozens of species on land and in the water, so why not something like Sasquatch? It was in one of these very bays in which survivalist Les Stroud had an unusual encounter some years ago while filming Survivor Man. He described some sort of large creature stomping through the woods, beating its chest and making gorilla noises. This encounter was well before Les created his Survivor Man Bigfoot show, and Scott actually personally knows the boat captain that was contracted to drop Les off in this region. The captain described picking up Les after his days out in the wild, and the first thing Les spoke of was the possibility of Sasquatch being real. A curious story indeed, as any of these many inlets could be where he was. While this region is in a temperate rainforest, when we were there, rainfall was lacking. So on our way back to the cabin, we went to collect some water for drinking and cooking. This was yet another reminder of the plentiful natural resources found here, with snowmelt creating this river that fed right into the ocean. One week prior to our trip out to the cabin, Scott and a friend visited for a few nights. One of their evenings was spent by the fire pit near the cabin, and while they were filming with a pulsar thermal camera, they noticed a large heat signature on the hill. It remained there for quite some time, but unfortunately there isn't much detail visible as the focus was not properly turned on. We figured we would take it upon ourselves to recreate the footage to see if there were any similarities. We first headed up to the area of where this heat signature originated to see what the area looked like in the daylight. Oh, look at this. Big black bear.
Big poo.
Here, buddy. Come here.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I know. Look at something sat there. I was blown away.
Well, look at this, right? You've got right here. It's like something slid down here.
Yeah.
I know.
And you've got impressions right in the ground.
Right.
Man, has anyone sat in this?
No. We didn't touch it. It sat here and watched us.
Something was sitting here. The fire pit is directly down there. See if I can zoom in on it.
Have you seen anything like
Yep, I can see the fire pit. So the thermal, you guys are sitting there directly at the fire pit, and then this area was kind of lighting up.
Just stand over here. I'm telling you, there's one channel that goes right to the fire pit. You can see that orange flag.
Yeah.
Yep, the
See
two
that?
flags. Yep, I see them from here. Yeah.
But if you line up the orange flags,
Oh, you can see the peanut butter jar too. Really? You see the toilet over there?
That's
You can
weird,
see a lot
man.
From right here.
look.
Along here. And some of these trees are just worn
Yeah.
down and shit,
Yeah.
you know, and it could be bear, deer, or
Even
something.
here, but
Yeah, I mean,
that is interesting.
places are to hide.
Well, look at this.
Oh, see that? Yeah, that's what I'm
That
talking
is
about. See, that's something did that.
Wow.
Some-
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a bear,
It could be, yeah.
you know,
but that was
something
done,
did
yeah.
that.
I mean, I could do that if I was to, you know.
Yeah. And yeah,
Look at that.
you
Well,
see-
I
you
just
see
did that now, but
Doesn't
yeah.
take much.
Okay. So I'm gonna put the chair right where he was sitting, right here.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can see those flags now.
Oh, we'll see.
It's right up that channel. Right there.
We'll find them.
I think I can see.
There you go. The first one is on that first spruce right there.
I see
there
it.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so come right here. So this is where he was sitting. Right here.
The exact
Okay.
And literally,
angle.
I was right here, and I couldn't see anything. And the thermal was taken by a guy who's literally legally blind. But he can, and when Charlie looks around, I think he's looking through a tunnel. Like if I walk in his peripheral, you and I would go, oh, you don't move out of the way. I mean, he can't see that. But he was sitting right here. I was 2 feet away, 3 feet away right here. And he kept seeing something on the thermal. It was a hot signature, whatever it was. And he handed me the thermal. I couldn't see anything. There was nothing there. And I really didn't think he was seeing anything. So that's why I didn't get up and move around and look, you know, from his perspective. So, but that's pretty much it. So that was where he's sitting. He's looking up through a channel. You'll see a channel between the trees during daylight. And we flagged that trail just so that we had, because when we were sitting here the next morning, there was a snowfield that was up there, you know, where it hadn't melted off yet. And what we did was we flagged a line to that snowfield, and so that we would have a perspective for you guys.
So what we'll do is we'll try to recreate it. I mean, as best we can.
Yeah.
These two guys, you three guys, all go up there, set up, and then whoever wants to be the sitter, the other two guys can either crouch down behind the log or behind a tree, just so you're not giving a thermal hit and the one person sitting there.
If you were to sit there, you can look straight at the fire pit. You can see.
We've seen that.
It's just crazy.
Yeah,
Right.
it's weird.
All right, let me grab the walkie
That's
for
a
you
good,
guys.
good call. We've got a fire going. I can see the guys up in the woods. I'm just getting in position to line this up. We know we've got a couple features that we can tell. There's some little flags hanging in the trees up there that line up the position. So from their position, they should be able to see the fire pretty well.
We are in position.
Yeah, we can see you guys clear as day. I'm sure you can see us by the fire.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so Rob Roy is still in position right now.
I'm trying to kind of lean close to, you know, I've got this big tree in front of me and I can block them if I want to.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to swing out and give like a real thin profile, because that thing looks like a snake stuck to the tree.
Yeah, what if it's just like the side of the arm?
Could be. Yeah, I mean this tree right in front of me, you see that?
I don't. I mean, I do.
Yeah, I
but
mean, it's right there, so
yeah.
I can literally hide myself from them and just peek around it while I'm sitting here. It's a perfect spot for spying.
Now I'm still getting that humanoid circle, or with the focus, humanoid shape. Okay, doesn't look like a straight line.
What's that?
Can you have Rob Roy stand up straight on on that log and just have him stand there still.
Yep. Oh God.
Yeah, he's in the process.
Okay, I'm standing.
He's standing now.
Let's see. Let's try this.
Yeah, I see the tree. And now when I do it, it's a circle with a little streak going up.
Okay.
All right. Well, I mean it's similar, but I don't
It's
still.
bigger. He looks bigger to me.
It does, and the focus to me is what's tricky on that one. It was like a straight up red line. All right, guys. Well, we're pretty much satisfied with that recreation. So when you guys are all set, just come on back and we'll discuss it.
Something sat there for a long time. I mean, that moss is completely.
It is so comfortable too.
Destroyed.
It's perfect. I mean, I will say that it is a perfect.
Were your legs? Because we haven't sat on. Were your legs extended? Were you bent at the knees, or
I think my legs were barely touching. I think I want to say.
your feet on the ground? Okay.
But I was sitting comfortably.
Yeah.
All I had to do is just look right down, and I could just go whoop like that and disappear behind that tree. I don't know if you guys picked that up.
Well, I mean, I could see. The thing is,
you were an orange ball.
Yeah, you were an orange
Oh,
ball with the
really?
focus off.
So I was trying to do the peak thing a little bit just to maybe show
Yeah.
a sliver, because I could go left, I could go
Yep.
right of the tree.
Unfortunately, we were not able to transfer the recreation footage from the thermal unit for the sake of the comparison. For what it's worth, as the one using the thermal, from what I could tell, Rob Roy appeared quite a bit more round, like an orange ball of light, even with the thermal out of focus. Overall, the original thermal video was quite inconclusive, so there isn't a lot of further information we can glean from it. We felt it was still worth the recreation attempt, however. For the rest of the night, we hung around the fire and then moved into the woods for a little bit to sit and observe in silence, but it was eerily quiet. We left one overnight audio recorder in the forest, and out of the whole night of almost complete silence, there was very little aside from these possible knocks around 3 a.m. All three of these percussives happened within a 24-second span. We've seen some humpback whales in the bay, so we deployed out here to see if we can film any of them, see them. We can see them spouting. Wow, that's close. With day 4 off to such an exciting start with the humpback whales, we decided to use the day to fully explore the forests around the cabin, as we were still unfamiliar with what lay beyond. Given we were just about halfway through the trip, it felt wise to fully learn the lay of the land here. Today we're going to head up on the hill above the cabin, kind of this whole area. We've flown the drone up there. It's pretty desolate. I don't know, there's some snow up at a higher elevation, but we'll see how high we can get up. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting.
We were up there, me and Scott were making our way up there, and he says that there's going to be a lot of different wildlife sign up there. Once you start getting up closer, we'll expect some more deer sign. We've seen plenty of that down here, but then also there's some good sign of porcupine, and some different types of animals. So we'll have a roster of new wildlife and their corresponding sign to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, I should say that Scott has mentioned, he thinks at least, and the people at the cabin who've experienced stuff seem to say that a lot of the sounds emanate from up on that hill, whether it be knocks or whoops or some of these screams up over there and on this other side of this draw over there. So these two areas, obviously up there, probably more interesting, but we'll check them both out. But we're going to head up primarily there right now. So yeah.
Yeah, this was like the feed bucket for a lure for a bear snare. And if you look over on this tree over here, there's the old cable that used to be tied. Yeah, bear would get trapped. And Scott said that, you know, typically if they catch a bear, that's when they'll cut the cable and haul the bear out. So he seems to think that since this was cut, then, you know, they got a bear and then just left everything else up here.
Yeah, back then that type of hunting was legal, you know.
Yeah.
Bait it up and just come right here and get them.
Oh, it was survival first, nature.
How many rules back then? I mean, still not a lot of now, but there's more. And we saw the other day at that glacier, you know, the amount of black bear up there, brown bear.
Healthy populations even today. So
oh yeah, there's
that was a staple in their diet.
Yeah, so where we are now, I mean, this is above the upper fire pit, which is down there somewhere. If we were down at the fire pit, you could have someone up here just looking right down at us the whole time. I mean, this trail isn't that bad. I'd say we go all the way to the point.
Yeah, I'm down to come back up.
Kind of the confusing part. I mean, we're walking along this trail, so you can imagine if something is walking, maybe nicks its shoulder or something along one of these branches. The problem we're having though is so much of what's on here maybe slightly looks like hair, but it's all old man's beard or moss. So it's virtually, this whole tree is covered in hair looking fibers.
What's misleading is it's got all different coloration too. So it's been green, which we know isn't hair.
There's green, you got brown, you've got lighter, you've got
even black.
I've seen black. Yep. So, but look at this. I mean, you can see it's clearly this has been used. Whether it's humans, game, other things, something is using this trail, and it gives us that perfect view up down where the cabin is and where the upper fire pit is. So you have just the high ground. High ground is where, strategically where it's at.
Hold on, I want to see the
1, 2, 3 right here.
This has been worn out.
I don't know if that's coincidental or not.
Well, the general health.
Worn out.
I started to see a few more mushrooms and stuff. I wonder if there's some fungal decay going on over here.
I mean, it could be that this is a wind alley.
Oh, the bricks go all the way down, you see them? Well, kind of. It's the possible bedding area here. It's very compressed looking. There's a trail that comes in, very worn. It follows up. Aleks went up that way. But this is a trail that shot off of the main trail that we were just following. And Ron found that. Whatever that is. Yeah, let's go up this way.
I thought this was a small, just like an outpost, you know, place you can observe things from. The rest of it is up there, but no, you could just hang out here.
This would, okay, so this is a secondary observational point. It's a little bit more outermost, so where you can see outside of the cove a little bit. But then it's also just a highway for animal traffic. So if that's two reasons that something could come down from the big mountain to hunt and to glass.
Something could be out here, let's say an hour before we came up here. We start making our way up, this thing goes down the other side, we never even have a chance of seeing it. Considering how slow moving we are up here, when I say something, I mean anything. Could be moose, could be a goat, mountain goat. It doesn't have to see us at all. This is not a skinny little point. This is really wide if you can consider down there to the other side. And how much there's to hide behind. I mean, something could be hiding right there and we wouldn't even know.
Well, yeah, and there's all these little coves and inlets, and it could essentially cove hop. And what are the, you know, it's so remote out here, what's the statistical probability that the two coves side by side will be inhabited at the same time?
Yeah.
So all you got to do is jump over the saddle and you're alone again.
Yeah, we're beyond disadvantaged in a place like this. Need something to step right there, because look at that branch. See that little right there?
Oh yeah.
Means, and then you got this kind of general shape, so this thing came down like that and was stepped on. No, I'm over there. I mean, I don't know. It's like a marshy bog type thing. This is the end. You got the two fingers, you got the one down there and this one. It's gonna be a windy spot though.
What is it? Oh, piece of wood. Maybe a former property line or something. With
Yeah, I was thinking there's no way it could have gotten up here naturally. Something could have brought it up here, somebody. We've made it to the point. We're just stopping to take a little break. Eli's got the drone up. Just basically we're surrounded by ocean. It's a good spot to maybe look out on the bay. You can see incoming boats or whatever the case may be. Animal sign all the way up, even cutting sign. We found a possible little piece of wood there with a nail on it. I don't know if that was property marker or whatever it was, but we don't really know the history here fully. We know there was some kind of settlement here, obviously in the past, but other than that, we don't know a whole lot. There he is. Yeah, he's watching us. There he goes. So that right there is a bald eagle's nest. What struck me about this area was just how mossy it truly was. The entire ground level was covered in a thick layer of spongy and deep moss, making any sorts of distinct impressions tough to find. We then headed out from the point towards higher on the hill above the cabin, the other location where people have frequently described hearing the hollow baseball bat type sounds from. Give it a try. Can I get your machete?
Yeah.
There's foot impressions going all the way up here, man. Something's been walking up this way. So like right here, there's foot impressions. This thing is.
don't know what that was.
Hey, Aleks to Scott, did you guys just make any noises, any vocalizations or anything like that?
Robin's downstairs laughing as usual, but that's, I mean, I don't know if that's what you heard.
I think we're too high up to hear you guys because we can't really hear that boat much anymore.
You can't hear me. Let me have Rob just make a quick, loud howl, you know, like yell at you, so you have a perspective.
Yeah, sounds good. Perfect. Just let me know before you're about to do it.
In 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we heard that loud and clear. What we heard was definitely a lot lower sounding, but it sounded like it came from beneath us somewhere.
There you go. I mean, I don't know.
Could you have him maybe just laugh in his normal sort of laugh and see if we can hear that?
He's going to laugh in a normal count or normal cadence and volume in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we can just faintly hear that. That may be something like what we were hearing. Hard to tell. We were kind of in the middle of climbing, so we weren't really paying too much attention, but thank you. But despite how high up we are, we're still finding game trails with obvious foot slides, foot impressions all throughout here, going kind of parallel to the steepness, which makes sense. Maybe a mountain goat? I don't know. These trees keep getting bigger and bigger.
I came up this way, following this game trail all the way up. Keeps going up, and then the snow line you'll see across the cove here. Look at that view. Alright, onwards.
We're up pretty high up here. It's been a haul. I mean, we are a few thousand feet above the cabin at least. Went up these ridges. This is where I got my drone to earlier. Got a lot of snow, a lot of animal sign. Coming straight up this way. With the snow getting deeper and more difficult the higher we got, we decided to save that hike up the mountain for another day. Overall, we felt we had scouted the area pretty well and really had a sense of how vast this ecosystem around the cabin was. This was made even more impressive just thinking about how this was only one of dozens of similar areas surrounding this massive bay. What we didn't realize at the time was that our night was about to get pretty interesting. I just heard a weird splash coming from over this direction. I'm assuming it was a seal. So we're trying to set up some tripwire now. The idea is if something were to come by, we would obviously know, setting it like 7-foot height. So let's see, this one right here.
Looks good. I think so. Put this stuff down for a second. Okay. Just take a little bit right here, and what I'll do, I'll run it up here.
Yeah, the branch, yeah. That's a good idea.
This way. All it has to do is be in here. Okay, that's pretty good. We'll just go like, use me since I'm so tall.
Is that good? Is that too tall?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's
We
good.
got it deployed. We'll put one maybe up towards the camp, towards the fire.
She'll be fine. She's an artist.
Here, I have
she's
more.
Good.
He's starting at red light because it looks cool.
Our approach that night was simple. Sitting around the fire and conversing and playing it cool. Everything was seemingly normal as we joked around and chatted on, until suddenly it wasn't.
Whoa. You hear that?
Proclamation! You are no longer speaking to Eli Watson. I will only answer to Lord Watson. You may be wondering about the change in my name, but I was deeded the title and this fancy certificate by Established Titles, a fun and novel way of preserving the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts, which may help our barefooted friends. You see, Established Titles is based on the historic custom of referring to landowners as lords and ladies in English. See that? It says Lord. Zoom in on that. Lord Eli Watson. Title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, as well as this fancy certificate. Why does this matter? Well, being a Bigfooter, a lot of the times I witness firsthand a lot of the deforestation going on, and I can tell you that it is a big issue. If these things are real animals, they need a place to live. And like most things that live in the woods, they need trees. And with every order, Established Titles plants 1 tree. And they work with global charities, 1 tree planted and trees for the future, to help global reforestation efforts. Fun fact, you can officially include the name Lord or Lady on your credit card, plane tickets, dating profile. People are attracted to status. Don't be afraid to flex it. Speaking of flexing, it's that time of the year where you gotta start looking for gifts and stuff for your friends and your family. Well, you're in luck, because Established Titles is running a massive Black Friday sale right now. And if you use the code MONSTERS, you get an additional 10% off your order. Go to establishedtitles.com/monsters to get a gift as well as support this channel. The first 200 people to purchase a title pack using our link will effectively be next to my plot. That's right, you can be my neighbor. And together, we can build our small town monsters kingdom. Lord Watson, out.